5:15 on April 14th. We're in the Tom Baker Room of the City County Building. This will be the Board of City Commissioners meeting. But before we start, if Chaplain Carr would be willing to come forward with invocation and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Basic
Commissioners.
Guiding Wheels
is now joining.
And whoever is now joining, we thank you. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, first of all, we want to pray and thank you for our telecommunicators, the first responders to every scene, Father, our 911 dispatchers here at CINCOM and State Radio, Father. Thank you for them. Pray your blessing upon them. Now we turn our attention elsewhere, Father. We turn our attention to the world and ask that you'll be with our leaders and our military as they protect and serve this nation. And now, Father, we turn our attention locally. And I ask that your wisdom will be with our commissioners and our mayors as they govern this city. Continue to bless them and watch over them and to protect them. Continue to bless this fine city, Father. Be with all of our first responders and our city workers. Protect them and watch over them and bless their families as well. Be with us in this meeting tonight. May your will be done. We pray this in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me by standing, if you may, if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners.
Thank you. All right, if we can call the meeting to order by calling roll, please.
Commissioner Risch?
Here.
Commissioner Zanker?
here.
Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Commissioner Cleary? Here. Mayor Schmitz?
Here. We have three proclamations today. So I'll start with the first one, which is for Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas public safety communication specialists are the first responders, delivering essential pre-arrival instructions and providing the most critical link that our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety communication specialists are the single vital link for our law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel by monitoring their activities, providing them information and ensuring their safety. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of City Commissioners for the City of Bismarck joins the Central Dakota Communications Center Board of Directors and declares April 12th through 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in the City of Bismarck. Signed today, the 14th day of April, 2026. Next, Day of Prayer. Whereas throughout the history of America, prayers have been uplifted as every generation has sought direction, protection, provision, and glorification of Bless America, resulting in our nation being filled with grace and goodness through answered prayers for over 250 years. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Schmitz, Mayor of the City of Bismarck, on behalf of this commission, do hereby proclaim May 7th, 2026 as a day of prayer in Bismarck. I urge all citizens to celebrate this day by setting aside a few minutes for reflection and ask for prayers to be lifted throughout our community. And last, for fair housing. Whereas one of the greatest freedoms enjoyed by Americans is the freedom to live in a home of one's choice, and whereas the promise made to us, the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which requires that all people be treated equally in connection with the sale or rental of housing, regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, disability, familial status, or relation, and in North Dakota, receipt of public assistance, marital status, and age. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Schmitz, Mayor of the City of Bismarck, on the behalf of this commission, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Bismarck and urge all citizens to honor and abide by the letter and the spirit of the Fair Housing Law. Signed the 14th day of April 2026. So I don't know if there are some recipients of these letters in the audience that would like to receive them, and if they want a photo, we can take photos. We'll do that. All right, our next item before we get to public comment is going to be a recognition of the Bismarck Citizen Academy participants, and Doug is going to lead us through that.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As you know, this is the fifth season that we've had Citizen Academy. For those in the audience or that are listening that are not aware of what Bismarck Citizen Academy is, it's an opportunity for the citizens of Bismarck to apply for a program which gives you an in-depth view of what all of our departments do. So there's 17 departments in the city of Bismarck, and we take 12 weeks. And each week, it's a 3-hour session, and it goes from 6 to 9 o'clock at night. So it takes quite a bit of dedication from the citizens of Bismarck or the participants of the program to be engaged and involved in that process. I think it's very beneficial for the citizens, but as a city, it's an opportunity for us to be transparent to those that are interested in all that we do, and hopefully produce individuals that want to maybe lead in some capacity, serve the city on a board or a committee, or as Commissioner Risch has done, join the city commission. So this year has been great. It's my second year to be a part of it, and I'm with this group particularly. I was super encouraged every week with the type of questions that they asked. Not that other seasons didn't ask great questions, because they have, but I was just really impressed with this group of the type of questions, the thought that went into it, and really diving into the details about the operations for the various departments that they got to experience. So we finished up the end of March, and we got to do our bonus week, which was touring the wastewater plant last week, and this is the final recognition. So with that, I'm going to read the names of those that participated, and then we have a few individuals that would like to share their experience. Before I read names, I just wanted to thank our staff. It's quite a bit of time, and we just get better and better every single year. Our directors and those that participate in the presentations every week, they take feedback that are given to them from administration and from the participants, and they just dial it in even more every year. So we get better, and it's an opportunity for some of our staff that don't typically get to speak and have that sort of experience in the public to get some new experience, which is beneficial for them in the long run as well. So I really appreciate all the work that our staff has done to make this program happen. This year's participants, we have James Easton, Arlene Erdahl, Joshua Fern, Jason Grenick, Cindy Hogue, Eric Arani, Ben Kennelly. Did I say that right? Okay. I was so nervous about saying your last name for some. Beth Coaches, Taylor Coster, Molly Lamoureux, Mark Malm, Randy Mathern, Richard Sagmiller, Matthew Shaw, Melissa Shaw, Kelsey Stotts, David Tamesia, Rosalind Weber, Zachary Weand, Caleb Garber, and Josh Fern. So this year and last year, we were able to include a couple employees from the city of Bismarck. So this year is Kelsey Stotts and Joshua Fern, our procurement officer. So that's a great opportunity for us as well, because they were new employees this year, and that's a little bit of a change that we've made. So With that, I've got a few individuals. Arlene, would you like to go first? Sure. Okay.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be involved in this great program. A special thanks to Doug Wiles, who did an excellent job facilitating it, to the city employees who graciously gave their time, Jason, Kaylin, John for being at the meetings, as well as to the city council for making this program possible. This was a great opportunity for me to learn about the city. I have a background in city finance, in auditing cities in South Dakota, including the city of Rapid City, so I could kind of understand how that part of a city works. But this made an opportunity to see the city internally, the inner workings of it, and all the departments, so it was very valuable to me. I was impressed with the smooth operations of the city overall, of the departments, and noticed the pride that the employees had in sharing about their departments, and their high morale was obvious. And then I was enriched from the fellow members from many different walks of life, and I can see that we will have some continued friendships and networking. I'm starting a new chapter in my life, and my goal is to be more connected in the community, and so this has been a good step toward that. And so just overall, again, thank you for the amazing experience.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Beth Cochis, and I'm a local teacher here in town. I teach 4th grade at Elk Ridge Elementary, and this has been just a wonderful experience overall. I could parrot all the things that she said before me, just a wonderful experience. But participating in the Bismarck Citizens Academy has been such a meaningful experience to me. Over the past 12 weeks, I've had the opportunity to go behind the scenes and see how our city really works, from meeting department leaders and city officials to visiting facilities and learning how essential services are delivered every day. It opened my eyes to just how much coordination, expertise, and care go into keeping our city running smoothly. I now have a much deeper understanding of where our tax dollars go and the incredible amount of work that happens, often behind the scenes, to support our quality of life here in Bismarck. What stood out most to me was the people, the dedication, professionalism, and pride shown by our city employees from the fire department, police department, public works, all the way to the city commission and administration departments gave me a whole new level of respect for those who serve our community every day. Just as meaningful were the connections made along the way, getting to know my fellow Citizens Academy participants, people who share a love for this community, was such an unexpected gift. These new friendships made the experience even more special. This program truly reflects what it's all about: learning, connection, engagement. It's an incredible opportunity to better understand our city, meet the people who make it run, and find more ways to be involved. So if you ever have the chance to participate in the Citizens Academy, I highly encourage people to apply. It would absolutely change the way they see their city in the best possible way. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
I think I'm last, so we can wrap this up quick. Good evening, Mayor Schmitz, commissioners. My name is Rosie Weber, and I'm honored to speak today on behalf of the participants of Bismarck Citizen Academy. First, I want to thank this commission. We know that without your support, this programming would not exist. Also, a big shout out to the city's administration department for all their work building and executing this 12 weeks of programming. Well, actually 13 weeks because of the bonus week. So a special shout out to Assistant Administrator, City Administrator Doug Wiles, and City Communication Strategist Kaylin Ost for hosting us each week. We gave up our Thursdays, and they also gave up their Thursdays evenings, so we appreciate that. I also want to thank the city departments and offices that hosted our groups each week. All of the academy sessions happened after business hours, and so all these staff dedicated their time, and we appreciate that. I also want to express my personal appreciation for the Bismarck Citizen Academy. When I started this program, I had recently found out that my husband and I were expecting our first child. Now I'm 6 months pregnant, and this T-shirt barely fits. But my point is that as someone who is still a newer resident of Bismarck, this program has really made me feel incredibly fortunate to call North Dakota's capital city home. Across all sectors of this city, we saw extremely dedicated and professional staff that work for the city government who are eager to keep Bismarck safe and make our community better today and in the future. And so it's very clear that the city has a great vision for the future, and I'm incredibly glad to raise my family here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you all.
You guys all get to come up for a picture.
Okay, now we're to public comment. Public comment is for those items on last meeting's agenda or the consent agenda today or anything on the regular agenda that's not a public hearing item. So anyone who wishes to speak, please come forward, identify which topic you're speaking to, identify yourself, and sign in.
Thank you.
I would like to comment on the taxi cab hearing ordinance. I just
That is a public hearing item.
okay. That's what I thought.
Yep. So if we can wait till then, I'd appreciate it.
That'll be fine. Just one minute.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Seeing no one and hearing no one, I'm going to close the public comment period. Moving to the consent agenda, I personally need to pull item 4K4 related to a contract because I have a potential conflict of interest, independence-related issue related to someone working there. So I would like
What number was it?
4K4, which is towards 4K4, permission to award contract for management at risk. Is there any other items?
I'd like to pull item D4. And if there's no other items, I would motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those two items. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Ish?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Vice Chair Cleary, would you mind dealing with? Okay, we can do D4 first. Go ahead, Commissioner Conley.
This again is the letter for the Opportunity Fund that always comes across our desk. If it was a company, say, it was a pharmaceutical that's being made overseas and a company wanted to open up here and there was no other competition in the community, things like this would be easy, or a nonprofit that was buying a building so they could better serve our community, then I'd be more for endorsing these. This is an electric company that competes against other electric companies and changes the playing field. So I'm making a motion to deny this.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have discussion. I'm just going to make the comment as I have last time. This is a way of economic development occurring in the city of Bismarck, and the state of North Dakota is providing funds for the interest buy-down. It's an interest buy-down, and we aren't even participating. We're just giving a letter of support so they can take it to the North Dakota Opportunity Fund where they're borrowing money and repaying the money. So that's my comment. I will leave it at that. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I understand completely, but it's an electrical contractor in town. There's lots of electrical contractors. They want to build a new building or buy a new building. Fine, good for them. I'm really supportive of that, but I don't know. I think it should be more narrowly focused, our economic development efforts, even though it's a state deal.
It's a state-sponsored deal,
Sure.
and the banks are encouraging them to apply to the Bank of North Dakota for the funding. And this is our support to it. So, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll. A yes vote would mean you deny it. A no vote would mean you do not deny it. Correct? Did I understand the motion correctly? Okay, call roll, please.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
No.
Commissioner Ish?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
No.
Mayor Schmitz?
No. Do I need to?
I would
You'll
move to
need-
approve
Okay.
item D4.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Ish?
No.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
No.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Moving to regular agenda, item A.
No, you have one pulled off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
What's the number again,
It's,
K4?
It's 4K4.
Yeah. K4.
Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, I'll move we approve K4 as presented.
You want me to?
You can run
Okay,
that vote.
so this is under K4, consider the request for approval for the Public Works Service Operations Department for the following. Item 4, permission to award construction management at risk for the new police headquarters to the team of J.E. Dunn Construction and Northwest Contracting, Inc. Any discussion?
I'll move we approve it as presented.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any further discussion on the matter? Go ahead and call roll.
Commissioner Ish?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Abstaining. Okay, thank you. Thanks for reminding me. Moving to regular agenda, item 5A, receive the 2025 annual report from the City of Bismarck Human Relations Committee. And I'm not, who's presenting? All three. Okay, wonderful.
Good evening. My name is Katie Houle, and I am the current chair of the Human Relations Committee. Mayor and Commissioners, we appreciate the opportunity to present our 2025 annual report and provide an overview of our committee's work over the last year. The mission of the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach while recognizing the value of a diverse community. Our work is guided by 5 core goals outlined in the committee's strategic plan. First, to exhibit leadership in the areas of civil and human rights, ensuring that our work reflects non-discrimination, acceptance, and respect for diversity. Second, to educate the public about civil and human rights through community outreach and participation in community events. Third, to identify issues of principal concern related to civil and human rights by creating opportunities for community members to share input and perspectives. Fourth, to recommend priorities and objectives to the City Commission on issues affecting our community, serving as a bridge between residents and city leadership. And finally, to advocate for compliance with federal and state civil and human rights law. The committee is made up of 7 citizen volunteers. These members bring diverse experiences and perspectives, and all share a commitment to helping make Bismarck a welcoming and respectful community for everyone. It was a busy year for us, and myself, Betsy, and Sargiana are going to walk you through and highlight a couple of the initiatives and events that we were involved in 2025. One of the highlights of the committee's work each year is the Humanitarian Award, which recognizes individuals and organizations who demonstrate exceptional leadership and a commitment to service in our community. Last year, the committee received 57 nominations for the award. I think really reflects a growing awareness and engagement in the Humanitarian Award and the Human Relations Committee. For the award, we also expanded to include a Youth Humanitarian Award, recognizing the important contributions young people are making in our community. Up there on the screen, you can see our first Youth Humanitarian Award was given to Lauren Zent. She was recognized for her work supporting individuals with disabilities through programs such as United Sound and Pride, Inc. Lauren clearly went above and beyond her volunteer work, organizing inclusive community outings and maintaining strong relationships with the individuals she supported. The adult humanitarian went to Micah Stokeland. She was honored for her volunteer leadership with Designer Jeans, where she organizes events that create connection and support for families of children with Down syndrome while raising awareness and promoting inclusion. And the organization YouthWorks was recognized for its commitment to supporting young people by creating safe spaces, positive adult relationships, and strengths-based programming that help youth advocate for themselves and overcome barriers. I really want to take a moment to also plug that we are accepting nominations for the 2025 Humanitarian Award this month until April 30th. The nomination forms are live on the Human Relations Committee website, and I really encourage those in this room and those watching online to really think about someone that's making a really meaningful difference here, a youth, adult, or an organization, and let's take this opportunity to recognize them. And I'll pass it to Betsy.
Good evening, Mayor Schmitz and Commissioners. Our efforts have focused on community engagement, education, and fostering inclusive spaces where all residents feel seen, heard, and valued. Starting in January, we participated in the Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration, which featured a screening of February 1, a documentary highlighting the Greensboro 4 and the 1960s sit-in movement. This event created space for meaningful reflection on the legacy of peaceful protest, and the ongoing pursuit of equality. It also sparked thoughtful discussion about fairness, opportunity, and human dignity. During this event, committee members connected with attendees, shared resources, and discussed our role in the community. In April, we participated in the Families Around the World, an event at the Bismarck Veterans Memorial Library. This annual gathering celebrates cultures and traditions that shape our community. The community hosted an interactive rock painting activity, creating a welcoming space for conversation and connection. Through this hands-on experience, we engaged with families and shared more about our role in promoting inclusion and strengthening relationships across cultures here in Bismarck. We hosted an outreach table at the 4th Annual Culture Expo, a vibrant celebration of Asian cultures. The event featured performances, art, and cultural displays that highlighted the richness and diversity of these traditions. It provided another valuable opportunity to connect with community members and support cultural appreciation and understanding. And in June, we participated in Capital Pride, a family-friendly celebration honoring the LGBTQIA2S+ community. Through our outreach booth, we connected with attendees, shared information about the committee's mission, and engaged in meaningful conversations about inclusion, dignity, and equal opportunity for all residents. At this time, I'll turn it over to Sargiana to continue.
So continuing on, in June, we sponsored and participated in the Juneteenth event. This event celebrates the African American culture. It is filled with learning and community spirit. Our committee had a table at the event where committee members were able to visit with individuals in attendance about the purpose and mission of our committee, as well as activities we're doing in the Bismarck community. In September, we sponsored and volunteered at the Walk for Down Syndrome. This event supports efforts to promote understanding, acceptance, and inclusion for individuals with Down syndrome. In addition to sponsoring this event, we also had committee members that played an active role behind the scenes. Before the event, we had committee members who assembled team bundles and sponsorship kits and delivered them to the different sponsors. And on the day of the event, we had members who assisted with check-in, welcoming families and supporters to the event, and also sharing our community's mission. In December, we participated in the first annual World Aid Day event sponsored by Shine Bright and Live. And just kind of a shout out, Jason Grenix, who used to be on the committee, is now the executive director of that organization. This event brought community members together to raise awareness about HIV and AIDS in North Dakota through powerful storytelling, shared education, and acts of solidarity. Attendees honored the lives of those who had passed, stood in support of individuals living with HIV, and reaffirmed the community's commitment to compassion, inclusion, and continued progress in public health awareness. For 2 years now, we've been doing community conversations forums. This is an opportunity to facilitate important conversations about the adversities that many of our residents of Bismarck face. A panel of subject matter experts, as well as those with lived experience, talk about various issues in our community, with the hopes of building an ongoing conversation with the city, as well as other community organizations. In 2025, we had 2 events. The first one was in May, and we had the conversation on transportation. This event allowed the City Commission's Transportation Committee to receive direct feedback from subject matter experts, individuals with lived experience, as well as the public. In November 2025, we hosted our Community Conversations Forum on Homelessness. This event was our largest to date, with nearly 100 community members and stakeholders coming together to discuss issues and impacts of homelessness in our community. This conversation, we found, needs to be ongoing, so our next community conversations will also be on homelessness. Our next community conversations is on April 21st, and from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Dream Center, and all community members are welcome to come. And lastly, probably my favorite thing about being on the Human Relations Committee, and a bucket list that I got to check off because of it, was our These Are Your Neighbors podcast. Tia Jorgensen and myself are hosts of the These Are Your Neighbors podcast, and we've been having the podcast for the past 3 years. The podcast highlights conversations with local leaders, advocates, and change makers whose work strengthens the fabric of our community. We record it at Dakota Media Access, and for the podcast, we spotlight the stories and experiences of diverse voices, and we encourage residents to build connections and gain a deeper understanding of the people who live and work with them. Our show airs 3 times a week, and in 2025, we feature guests that include community leaders, advocates from a variety of sectors, each of them offering so much insight into how they're working to make Bismarck a more welcoming place. And just to brag a little bit, a milestone that we set and reached in 2025 was that our podcast hit 25,000 downloads. So those are the events that we have for 2025, and that is our report. And we hope you guys, we're here in 2026 to share about all the amazing things we did that year. And we'll stand for any questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you for the work.
All right, thank you.
Item B under the regular agenda is a public hearing on the request for a taxi cab license for Guiding Wheels LLC. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak to this topic, please identify yourself, sign in, and
Trevor Vanette, citizen. I'm concerned not just about not so much the accessibility that there are one cab, but also how do our community members know? We have some of them that don't have proper phone numbers, signage. We don't even know when people are coming to the airport, they don't even know we're the capital city. They don't even know that these one-seat companies exist. And I know it's a business plan, but I think the city needs to facilitate that because they're not getting the word out. When we're the capital city, when you're coming from other states, they don't even know what's going on. So I would just have us relook at that ordinance. Thank you.
any questions? Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak?
Hey, this is Emer Basic with Guiding Wheels. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me on. I'm joining under Guiding Wheels, and then I called in for audio. But just to answer the concern that the citizen had there, so I was born and raised in Bismarck, North Dakota. I graduated from Bismarck High, and then got my associate's degree from Bismarck State College. So I do know the area. And I am familiar with the area, and so it wouldn't be a concern as far as, knowing the capital city and stuff like that. So just wanted to ensure you, I am from the area, so you don't need to worry about that.
Does anyone have questions? This gentleman is the owner. My question is, how are you making known your telephone number?
So there is a phone number we have a Facebook profile, company profile, and then some brochures. So this is just starting off, but, we need to go through the proper process before we can actually get fully started, as far as getting the taxi application approval. But I will make sure that the phone number is easily found, through the Facebook company profile, and then also we have a brochure that I planned on handing out, and maybe even put it on Google so someone, anyone looking for the service could easily call, but haven't quite gotten there yet.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Susan, go ahead.
My name is Susan Dingle. I am a citizen. I have in the past been a frequent user of Taxi 9000, BTS, and I have some concerns about this. I can't tell from these applications, is this really a one-vehicle company, and that's all that you're offering? Because I am sorry, one vehicle in a metro area of almost 100,000 people is totally inadequate. It amounts to a cosmic joke. And again, there are stories. I think our people in economic development could share them with you because I've heard them in other places, of out-of-town consultants coming in to talk to us about economic development, coming into the airport. And when do most flights come into the airport? Why, they come in at night. And they weren't able to find a taxi. And also, by the way, Uber and Lyft were not really available either. At some length, I can't remember how they did this, if they got in touch with one of the organizers or if somebody from the airport gave this person a ride, but it was kind of catch as catch can. This is not the way to go. And it seems that we do have quite a bit of trouble now maintaining a taxi company. I realize they do cost a lot of money. Transportation is not cheap. I know that. But something has got to be done. This is not an acceptable state of affairs. And the other thing I have picked up, because I do talk to the drivers, this was a little bit true with Taxi 9000. It was hugely true with BTS, and it is part of the application of another company that's been approved in the past, which charges $32 an hour for transportation. Most of these people are making many of their trips and a lot of their money on medical transportation, both in town and, more important, out of town. They're going to Rolette and Devil's Lake, Dickinson, the Twin Cities, Fargo. And so medical transportation seems to be kind of the subtext about this. And as we know, medical transportation and rural transportation and links between systems are big issues. Well, I do think between the city and the state and other entities, we need to get together and figure stuff out, because this is not acceptable. And the kinds of rates that are being charged with BTS, I paid $20 a trip. I also discovered that if you wanted to go to the airport, it was $50 one way. And I also heard from other people who were using assistive devices that they were being charged $30, which, by the way, I think is illegal. That's one of the things that Uber was sued for. You cannot have differential rates in a public transportation system based on people's disabilities. But somehow, you know, BTS was maybe getting away with this, or maybe I was getting a special favorite person rate, which again is probably not legal either. But we need to do much, much better. We do not have a taxi system. And, you know, 2 or 3 one-vehicle companies are not a taxi system. They are 2 or 3 vehicles offering public transportation.
So Susan, I appreciate the comments, but this is about this person's application for, it is not about the ordinance.
Okay.
And the ordinance is passed, and honestly, this is a free business enterprise.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to ultimately bring forth an opportunity for us to look at an ordinance, or whether we're going to publicly fund taxis, which I think will be very difficult to do, we can talk about that. But I think let's keep it to this particular application, please.
All right. Well, to the individual applicant, I don't think most people coming into the airport are checking Facebook to find out about transportation. There needs to be some plan about marketing. And marketing is not cheap. But, you know, realistically, to make a taxi company go, there are a whole bunch of items in a business plan that need to be addressed, and I'm not sure that they've been fully addressed here. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to this application? A second call for public comment on this application. A third and final call for comment. Public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I'll move we approve as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say I appreciate your remarks, Susan, but we've got a shortage. We've got a shortage. It's tough. I use Taxi 9000 all the time, and I was so sad when they discontinued. And Uber and Lyft, unreliable, to be fair. We got snowed in at the Bismarck airport. They delayed the flight till the next day. Cost me $50 to go home the night before, and the next morning when I came back out, it was $28. So you never know what they're going to charge you. It's all over the map. But this is one more opportunity, one more person that's going to give it a shot, and let them give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Commissioner Conley.
I concur with what Commissioner Risch said. When we changed the ordinance, it was before, we had a pretty high bar to where, as far as accessibility and that, and our environmental or our economic environment makes it difficult to start businesses. I would rather see somebody starting off with a single car, if they find success and build a business plan to where they can grow to 2, 3, and beyond. If they get to the area to where all of a sudden they trip to where they can look at that accessibility space, there's a little nuance of insurances there, and hopefully they find that success to where they can grow into that space better, because to not have anything at all is not helpful either.
Well, I agree. The other thing is, Taxi 9000 had about 22 cabs to deal with Bismarck Mandan. None of the ensuing companies have ever had as many vehicles. Just saying.
Yep. Commissioner Clary.
I guess I would just like to kind of agree with what's already been said at the table, but to the point of, I think when we discussed this ordinance to begin with, the goal was to try to entice people to create this type of business because it was not existing in our community and is needed. And I think that the hope is, to Commissioner Connolly's point, hopefully one car leads to two. To Susan's point, marketing's not easy. There's no proof at what type of marketing works for this type of company in this town because obviously there's a huge shortage. But running a small business isn't easy, and there's going to be some learning curve, and I would like to have him, similar to everybody else in this community, have the opportunity to do that, and hopefully he succeeds and we can see more of it because I think it's needed. So,
Commissioner Conley.
This might be a good time to also mention that our Visitors Bureau just added an application to where it's interactive, and that might be a good place for anybody that's licensed through the city to where that could be one of the featured points, because there are some people out there not working under a blessing of the city, so to speak. And for the ones that are willing to put themselves into that space, that might be a good resource because they would have the access. They modeled it at their annual luncheon last week to where you could type in the parameters of what you're looking for, and all of that information aligned with restaurants, maybe it's transportation in this case, and so on, to where people can look up specifically what they need in order to enjoy our city and our surrounding area for that matter more.
That's nice to hear about. Yeah, there needs to be this kind of sharing
So,
and
so
cooperation.
this is, we have a discussion here at the table. And again, we're trying to grant a license so somebody has the opportunity to provide service. That's really what we're about here. And so I have a motion, I believe, on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Zaker,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary. Yes. Commissioner Risch,
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz.
Yes. Item C is a public hearing on ordinance 6657 and annexation of part of the south half of section 19, et cetera. Daniel.
Good evening. Mayor Schmitz, Commissioners. This is the City of Bismarck petitioning for this annexation. I'll read the full title just so we have it for the record here. The annexation of part of the south half of Section 19, Township 139 North, Range 80 West, Haycreek Township, which is also included in document 975320 and Auditor's Lot B1 of the west half of Section 20 of Township 139 North, Range 80 West, Hay Creek Township, pursuant to document 727447. So where is that? That is north of Valley Drive, East Valley Drive, on the map that you see here. This is land that is, as I mentioned, owned by the city of Bismarck. It has been acquired within the last year for the purpose of creating stormwater detention, roadway improvements. Most of the land is inside of the coulee. It is within the parks and open space category of the future land use plan. There's a little bit of urban neighborhood as well in this area, and about 54 acres in total. You see here on the future land use plan with the extension of Tyler Parkway, which is planned through this area. It is in our growth phasing plan identified as priority urban service area, and that really just means it's very contiguous to the city limits. It's almost surrounded by the city limits at this point. So it is a one that we'd recommend annexing, and we are petitioning to do so. This did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission on February 25th of 2026. They did recommend approval of that annexation at that time. So this is a public hearing tonight. So we did notice this according to our standard procedures, including certified letters to the county and township, also a sign at the site, and legal notice in the Bismarck Tribune. So based on the findings that are contained in your staff report, the Planning and Zoning Commission does recommend approval.
Any questions? Doesn't look like it. Go ahead,
I
Commissioner.
guess I have one question. I live there, but there's no, what we're annexing, there's no room to build homes or things like that. I mean, it's a real steep coulee with sharp drop-offs. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Maybe I won't say there's no room possible to build any homes, but right now it's not really set up for that.
Okay. Commissioner Conley.
And this might be for Landon or whatnot. Why isn't the entire corridor of Tyler Parkway part of this?
Sure, Commissioner Connolly. So as the petitioner, we only brought forward the portions that are under city ownership. The north of here, some of that land has already been annexed. There is a portion on the east side which has not yet, and so at this time, I think we would just wait until that area, which is intended to be developed in the near future. Typically, we just do that alongside of the subdivision and zoning map amendments. We would wait for that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Daniel. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak to this topic, please come forward. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Seeing no one and hearing no one, the public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next, item D is a public hearing on ordinance 6660, a zoning map amendment from A agricultural district to RR residential zoning district. Isaac, I'll let you proceed because I think this is like a hearing on an appeal.
Yes, that is correct. Mayor Schmitz and Commissioners, this particular regular agenda item comes to us from Heather Jones and Lauren Fisher, who are requesting approval of a zoning change or zoning map amendment from the A Agricultural Zoning District to the RR Residential Zoning District, a major subdivision final plat titled JFP Foxhaven Subdivision, and an accompanying major street plan amendment for a segment of a future alignment of 76th Avenue Northeast. This was appealed from a Planning and Zoning Commission denial. We'll get to that in a moment. So as you can see on the screens before you here, this project is located northeast of Bismarck between 73rd Avenue Northeast to the south and Arcata Drive to the north, and primarily along the west side of 41st Street Northeast, although the major street plan portion does extend to the east side of 41st Street as well. The plat area of the project would consist of 10 acres of currently undeveloped land and would create 5 lots in 2 blocks if approved as proposed. And the zoning map amendment portion of the project would change the entire platted area from the existing A agricultural zoning district to the RR residential zoning district. And then the major street plan portion of the project would shift a proposed future alignment of an extension of 76th Avenue Northeast, which is listed on the maps shown here by the dashed blue line as a future collector roadway, approximately 200 feet to the north. So the left side of the screen is the existing, right side is the proposed there. And this would rearrange the land on the west side, or according to the applicant, would help rearrange the land on the west side to be developed there, as well as potentially rearrange land on the east side for some future development if that were to occur. The plat area on the west side of 41st Street Northeast there was identified as rural residential in the future land use plan, which are described as places for country living with convenient proximity to city life. The plat as proposed is shown here, and all of these, of course, were included in your staff reports. Prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, the public was notified of this request via publications in the Bismarck Tribune on February 13th and 20th. 90 postcards were mailed to owners of nearby properties on February 13th, and a physical sign providing information on the public hearing was placed in a publicly available spot near the project location on February 9th, 2026. In addition to the standard public engagement that we do for all projects, planning staff sent a letter providing more information on the major street plan, specifically to the two landowners on the east side of 41st Street Northeast, on whose land the major street plan would shift that roadway. That letter was sent on February 5th, 2026. The Planning and Zoning Commission held their public hearing on February 25th, 2026, where planning staff recommended approval based on the findings of fact contained in your staff reports there. Staff received 3 inquiries for more information prior to that hearing, including from the landowners directly to the east of the plat area, who received that major street plan amendment letter. Planning staff received a comment from them, and that was forwarded to the Planning Commission as well as to the City Commission here. And then during the public hearing, the landowners who submitted that letter provided that written comment, also spoke at the hearing and provided more detail on their concerns with the major street plan amendment specifically. At the conclusion of that public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission made a motion to approve the request, and then that motion failed with a 3-5 vote against, and the request was therefore denied as a majority of the commissioners did not concur with staff's determination that the proposed zoning change, major subdivision final plat, and major street plan amendment were consistent with the required findings of fact. An excerpt of the minutes from that Planning and Zoning Commission meeting were included with your agenda items for your considerations. The applicant then appealed the denial, and the City Commission heard the appeal, accepted it, and called for a public hearing at your March 10th meeting of this year. The public was then again notified of their request via publications in the Bismarck Tribune on March 27th and April 3rd, and 90 postcards were again mailed to owners of nearby properties on March 27th. A physical sign was placed in a publicly accessible spot at the project location on March 24th, 2026. And then to the best of my knowledge, planning staff did receive one additional comment as a result of that public engagement, and this was forwarded to the commission prior to this hearing. As a cumulative result of the findings contained in the staff reports that you received, planning staff found that the proposed major subdivision final plat, zoning map amendment, and major street plan amendment would generally not adversely impact public health, safety, and general welfare, and that it was generally consistent with the comprehensive plan, Bismarck Code of Ordinances, and relevant state law. And as a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial at the conclusion of their hearing. At this time, I would stand for any questions that you may have for me.
Commissioner Risch.
I just want to say, very thorough, very good job, Isaac. Thank you.
So I would just like to make sure that it's clear that the major road or the future road designation doesn't mean the road is going in anytime soon. The landowner where the road would be would have to agree to it first. Is that correct?
Mayor Schmitz and Commissioners, that is correct. The major street plan is not a legally binding document. It is basically saying, given trends that we have seen in the Bismarck area and seeing the growth over time, we will need more major roads in some locations. And given information we have right now, staff think that this area on a map could be a suitable location for one of those more major roadways. It does not require any landowner to develop their land or provide dedications for right-of-way or easements or anything like that. It does not require any landowner to build or do something with their land if they do not want to do that. No.
Thank you. Commissioner Conley.
So in watching the meeting, the one landowner just to the east owns the north side and they also own the south portion
If we can bring
of where the road is.
So you can sort of see the small narrow lines there. Those are the parcel lines from Burleigh County. So regardless of if the future roadway in the plan were to stay where it is right now or shifted north, it would be within their land, if that answers your question, Commissioner Connolly.
Not really. Below the blue line there, do they also own that other portion of the section?
No, that is a separate landowner.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Isaac? Commissioner Cleary.
I'm sorry if this is a silly question, but now that I'm just like looking at that and to the mayor's point, with the major road put in there, can the west part be developed and then the east side is a different property owner and then they can say no to the east side of that road? Is that what you're saying when you say that it's just a plan?
Commissioner Cleary, for my own clarification, are you referring to the line sort of being disconnected so that there be two separate sections, or are you referring to something different?
It just seems like when you're looking at the other photos that the intention of the person is to develop the west side now, correct?
That is correct.
So like that road will go in and then just the east side of the road will not go in until it's like needed and or wanted by the landowner?
Yes, Commissioner Cleary, that is correct.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak to this, please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Landon Neimler with Swinson-Hagen Engineering, representing Heather Jones. Just to add a few points to what Isaac had presented already, and maybe some things that were not clear at planning and zoning that we should have gotten into a little deeper. On this west side of the road that we're discussing tonight, where the plat is going to be, the future land use calls for a rural residential type subdivision, which is what we're applying for tonight. On the east side of that road, the future land use plan shows that as urban reserve. So at some point, that land is officially designated as what city would like to see there as urban style lots, city style lots that would have city water, city sewer, and things like that. Smaller lots than what you typically would see out in the county. They would be city style lots. To that end, the road that we have shown here on the west side of the road, and then relocating it on the east side as well, if that were to ever happen, our intent there is not just an arbitrary line out in the middle of nowhere. We are looking at where the location of the existing home and tree row is. We're looking at where there's an existing water line on the west side of the road, which is now within the right-of-way that we are showing here today. We're also providing them an area where they can show urban-style lots a little more easily with the position of the road. We're positioning it further north so that those lots are not nearly as deep as what you would typically see in a rural setting. On top of that, like I mentioned, there's already a water line in place, and we'll be putting it in the right-of-way. Really, some of the questions about from the homeowner being concerned that they were going to have to remove their septic system or move their home or anything like that, the home would not need to move. We're leaving them ample space to meet setbacks. We're staying out of what we would consider sort of the homestead area. If their septic system is in that area, whenever city services would be available, which could be decades, the septic system would no longer be necessary at that point because there would be city sewer available to them. At this point, city sewer and water, a couple miles away. This could be a long time before this parcel is ever developed into an urban style subdivision. But I can certainly answer any questions if you have.
Mr. Risch.
Oh, the question I have, so to the east of, 43rd Street?
41st. 41st.
41st would be urban style in the future. Could the land being redesignated on the west side, could that be urban as well? Could they develop that at this point in an urban style?
Commissioner Rich.
Because there's going to be utilities eventually going up in that area.
Thank you, Commissioner Rich. Theoretically, yes, you could designate it as urban style, but you couldn't actually develop it today because those services are just not available.
I think it might also be important to point out that this particular parcel of land that's being requested on for changes now is not even in the ETA any longer. Is that correct? Do I have that my memory right? It was in the ETA until March. The application was put forth before the ETA or as part of the whole transition process. And so it is Burley County land jurisdiction moving forward. So urbanizing it is even a further step down the road because it would have to come into the city through some desired result of those landowners.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Schmitz. That is correct. When we started the process, it was the city's jurisdiction. In that meantime, it switched over to the county jurisdiction. However, we started with the city, so we will continue on with him through the plating and zoning process.
Whereas the land to the east is in the ETA.
Correct.
Commissioner Conley.
So essentially, since it does shift to that, if anybody on the east, say, said road depicted here, that's subject to change too. They can move it. It might be not a through street. It might be something different because of the difference in planning and zoning, whenever that might occur.
Commissioner Connolly, that's correct. Generally speaking, we could be looking at sort of where the intersection, where these two roads line up. But after that road is already in place at that intersection, that road can meander into any place that works for their subdivision.
Okay. Any other questions for Landon? Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, this is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Schmitz and Commissioners. My name is Heather Jones. I'm here representing Jones Family Properties, or what's listed as JFP, for the subdivision. I'm the potential developer of this property. Just to kind of clarify what I do, this property development is not my day job. And in fact, I live in the neighborhood. My home is featured in every image that you've seen tonight. I'm just adjacent southeast to this. I've lived there with my husband for 21 years, raised 2 children, and I think in the 21 years that I've lived there, we've seen this property be listed, sold, and bought. I think this is at least the 3rd time. Just to kind of fill you in on the why of it, if we could, just for my sake, pull back that road. So currently, that area, again, is listed agricultural, and the blue dotted line is the existing road plan. And for my neighbors, which I know all of them very, very well, some have been there as long as I have been, where the road runs, it runs right behind many of other properties. And personally, every area around it is rural residential. And if I don't want to call it a risk, but the next buyer could very well put a horse farm or goats or put the road in right behind 3 of my neighbors' properties' tree rows, the way it's drawn today. And for the sake of our neighborhood, and this is my personal why, I'd rather have, potentially 5 more great rural residential neighbors than, small animals or large animals for that matter. But I think if I could share, I think part of the angst of this, and this is my feelings about it, is, we understand when we're asking for a road adjustment, city and county wants to know what it could look like 10, 20, 30 years from now. And to be honest, if I were the owner of a rural 20-acre oasis and someone showed me an image of 100-plus half-acre lots running through a property I've only owned for 2 years, it might cause some confusion. However, I wish we could have probably gotten that through to them before this. But either way, my goal would be is our property to the west. I really believe that this is what's best for our little piece of the world on the west side. And just to be clear, I have no desire to tell anyone from the east what they should or shouldn't do. We just sort of painted a picture, I think, of what it could look like. And that's kind of how it got a little bit confused in the communication of it all. So, but as far as the whys, just half jokingly, my husband says I should never get bored because I get ideas, and I've learned a lot in this process. I may or may not ever try to develop again in the future, but it's been interesting and fun and challenging. So I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
Commissioner Conley.
Is it the normal setback, like where that tree row is, the 50 feet from the center line of the road, or is it more than that?
So I believe I'll maybe let Landon answer that, but it should be the same as all the other rural residential lots.
All right. Well, that's where some developments choose a different setback than the standard.
Landon, can you confirm that? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Connell. Yeah, it'll be the standard setbacks that the R zoning in City of Bismarck or the R1 in the Burley County would be applied. There'd be 40-foot setbacks off of the property line.
Okay. And is there an intention of making, like I say, the tree rows and things, is that going to go up into this developed property, maybe a buffer? Because the one thing that property has is they have a tree row to the development north of it. They somewhat have a half one down, but they've kind of enjoyed having country on both the west and east side. With this development, now that's going to change. So would there be like another tree line on the development side or something to buffer that a bit?
So, Commissioner Connell, are you referring to the property to the east or
to the west?
On the west.
Yeah, to make that buffer continuous.
Sure. I mean, there wouldn't be significant changes in the lots other than what we need to do for grading for stormwater management and things like that. But like Heather mentioned, this is intended to blend in with the neighborhood. Obviously, these are rural residential lots. The intent is to mirror what they have right now. The only tree removal would come from, like I say, if we have to do any kind of stormwater management, ponding, and things like that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Guess we'll proceed forward. This is a public hearing. Anyone else who wishes to speak, please come forward.
Hello. I am it's my husband and I are co-owners of the property to the east.
And while you're speaking,
Sorry.
if you don't mind signing
Yes.
in as well, just so we have it on record,
Yep.
and state your name.
My name is Mona Hyde. And we own the property to the east side. I guess I don't think we were confused on how this property was going to be set up and, with the going forth of building across the street. The plans that we had seen were where they were putting a cul-de-sac in across the street on the west side of 41st, and that was going to be with 5 properties around this cul-de-sac. But the road that is proposed goes further south of our property, more towards the fence line, where the road that they have drawn up comes right about 40, 50 feet from our house, goes over our drain field, and then right after our house, it takes a dive up to the north, which then cuts our property off to the north side, leaving us with a bunch of useless land up north, because it's right against the houses to the north of us, which, like Heather was talking, they didn't want to have a bunch of properties built right behind those 3 houses to the south of the west side of the road. We have neighbors the same that are on the north side of us, on the east side of the road, that don't want a bunch of houses built right next to their property. So either way that it goes, it's going, but the way they have proposed the road, and I know I didn't pay them to make the surveys or draw up these plans, but the only one that benefits from this property or this road development is the ones who's purchasing and starting this development, because their road will go straight into their property, where ours goes right by our house and then takes a big dive north and cuts our property in half, or not even in half, it cuts it up to the north. So I guess our decision was that we didn't want it to set up the way it's proposed, because the way it cuts up to the north and cuts off our property. And then there's only like a 40, 50 feet between or the road and the property to the north of ours. And we've talked to a couple neighbors to the north of us, and they don't want the road, because then it would cut into their, the back end of their lots.
Does anyone have questions? Commissioner Risch?
Mona, where is your house exactly? You're west of 41st?
I am east of 41st.
You're east?
Yes.
It's
So
the house that the road is
Oh, I see it,
jogging
I see it,
around.
I see it, yeah, okay.
So if you see the proposed road, the way it used to be, that blue line is way farther south from my property, or from my house anyways, where the one that they brought up, it's right next to it.
Commissioner Connolly, do you have a question?
So, in what I referenced when Isaac was up here, do you own south of the blue line on the east side of 41st?
Just a small portion of south of it.
Okay.
So, I think it's right on that fence line
Okay.
of ours versus there's like an LLC or something that owns the property to the south.
Okay. And then just to the east of you, where you say it curves up and goes right through the center. So you essentially own the top half of that whole section?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And when we talk about it, say, because you're ETA now, so that would have to go through, any development of that side of a road would have to go through the county, who a lot of times thinks sizably differently than what this particular board does.
Right.
Actually, they're in the their land
Yes.
is in the ETA, so that
Oh.
would come through planning and zoning in the
Okay,
city.
I misunderstood, I apologize. So,
I tried to, it is confusing.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'll remove that comment, so to speak. So, okay. I guess this would be a Isaac question, but I can wait until after the, maybe because she could still speak. Is there any problem with where that road could go straight through?
I don't, not the way it's proposed that they had planned it out. I don't know.
Right, but that would take the halving of the property out of the conversation, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Again, this is public comment. Anyone else wish to speak, please come forward.
Thanks, Commissioner. I just wanted to clarify one item as far as the roadway network that we have shown there. When we put that in, we were trying to show developers what they could do with that parcel of property. In other words, saying urban-style lots would fit with this roadway here. For our change to the roadway where we would like it, it's really only that intersection on 41st where the two little roads would line up together. If they determine at some point in the future when they want to develop that they don't want to skew to the north, they can shift it to the south and match up with where that blue line is today and follow the old roadway master plan. It's really only the intersection itself that we'd be changing.
And only to the west.
Only to the west. Nothing to be built on the east.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Public comment is still open. A second call for public. Identify yourself and sign in.
Hello,
please.
my name is Lauren Fisher, and I own the property in question that Heather Jones is looking at purchasing. Anyway, what I wanted to mention here is there's a lot of confusion on what's going on. The property to the west is all rural development. That means acre and a half lot minimum. Property on the east side of 41st Street is basically city limits. That means no other lots other than city-sized lots, which are basically about a quarter-acre lots, can be put in there. Unless something majorly happens, there's some sort of zoning change, but right now it's zoned agricultural. And being also city limits, that means city sewer, city water. City sewer and water are not within 2 miles of this property. So if somebody was going to develop that property on the east side, it's going to cost an enormous amount of money to bring city sewer and water to that property. Therefore, any developer would run. Okay, so there's a possibility that this could happen someday, that it may be decades down the road. After everybody in this room and the commission is probably gone and dead, that may happen. But right now, to the west side of the road, that's real life. That we can do. There's already rural water there. There's lines in place. It's 5 lots to grow the community and more tax revenue. I know it's not supposed to be biased as far as any type of revenue, but that's more people paying in, contributing to the community, whether it's rural or city. But the definite difference is rural on the west side, city on the east side. And there's not going to be any need for the Hydes to move their house. Nobody has ever said that, and nobody is ever going to say that unless they want to move their house. Their septic field may go away if the city sewer eventually comes up there 20 years down the road, but then they get the benefit of having city sewer and water, because septic systems have a lifespan of 10 to 15 years. Ask me, I have one. So there's a chance that these folks are going to have to replace their septic system and their drainage field within the next few years anyway. So then they start all over. But nothing is in the process of being designed or built. No road easement. It's just the future road plans that are drawn out on the east side of 41st. And that, as Landon has mentioned, that can all change. It depends on the application, when somebody is going to try to develop that, if and when, and it could be 20, 30 years down the road. You know, who knows? I'll probably be gone and dead. And as far as the west portion of the 10 acres section, I still own a 5-acre lot there. And the blue line's a road go across that. I don't want a road going across that as long as I'm alive. So that road's not going to continue. So therefore, this road's not going to be a through street. It's going to dead end on 41st. And it's going to come in somewhat like a cul-de-sac until I'm gone and dead and someone else wants to do something with the 5 acres next to my house. Because I'm another one that doesn't want a road next to my house. Because if 76 goes across there, I lose half of my front yard. My neighbors to the south of me lose a good portion of their backyard. So I'm at a standstill. It's like, well, I don't want the road going across there. And this was my best case scenario with what Heather Jones and Landon have proposed as far as coming in and changing the roadway and utilizing that to make 5 lots. Because building the road is expensive. And the more lots they have, it helps share that expense. And, you know, beyond what anybody else would expect, there's not a lot of money being made on this project because everything costs a heck of a lot of money nowadays. You guys know how that works. You know, I feel that the Hydes, unfortunately, are a little bit misinformed or don't understand it 100% as far as what's going to happen. Nothing is going to happen with their property until they say it's going to happen. And if they wanted to sell it tomorrow to a developer is not going to do anything with it either until the city and sewer comes closer. So that developer is going to have to sit on it for 10 to 20 years or more. So therefore, making it really not feasible to sell and not really that marketable. They may have thought they've purchased a nest egg, which is worth a lot of money, and it is, don't get me wrong. Land is always worth money and always appreciates. But it's not really a developable piece of property right now financially. I guess that's all I've got to say.
Any questions? Thank you. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, maybe I should ask, Isaac, can you come forward for a minute? So I just need to have description of what our options are and how we go about them for this.
Certainly. So, Mayor Schmitz and Commissioners, you have a few different main options. There could possibly be more, but the main options would be you could approve the projects sort of as they are presented. You wouldn't necessarily need to change findings if you did that. If you were to move to deny the project, you could follow the Planning and Zoning Commission's path, or you could alter the findings of fact as presented in the staff reports in a different way. If you think there's a certain finding that should be adjusted, that would be another route.
So if we move to approve the request, the appeal, do we need to have findings of fact, or do we just rely upon the staff report?
The findings of fact in the staff report are still in the affirmative, as if you would be approving in that case. They're the same findings that were presented to the Planning and Zoning
If we
Commission.
deny, we either have to have concur with the findings from Planning and Zoning,
or alter them in
or
another
alter
way.
them.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I need to understand in my own mind. I don't know if anybody else had confusion or not. So, commissioners, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to move we approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay.
You can second.
Do we have discussion? Commissioner Conley.
On these cases, I err on the side of property rights, and the people to the west certainly have them. It's not infringing on the folks to the east, and the folks to the east still have a lot of control because it does go through the vetting of planning and zoning. I would hope that there would be a notation on this, because I've seen it where history, they kind of forget information of past discussions, that hopefully they consider if the land separation is still owned by the same property owner, to not have the road split their property, so to speak. If there can be something in the history noted about that.
Well, the landowner will have that choice.
Yeah, so.
They'll have that.
Just that there was a reference by history, because I've seen the conversations come up in other planning and zoning issues that some of those conversations got lost.
Okay. Any other discussion? Here, now we're going to call roll.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes. Mayor
Schmitz?
Yes. It is approved. Moving to item E, consider request for resolution awarding the contract for Street Improvement District SI 596. Okay.
Mayor and Commissioners, SI 596, or Street Improvement Number 596, is our 2026 ditch section roadway pavement maintenance project, where we will be working on 52nd Street between Apple Creek Road and Main Avenue. We opened bids on April 8th, and we had 2 bidders on the project, as you can see on the screen. We recommend awarding to the low bidder, Northern Improvement Company, with a bid of $1,364,415.80. And I'll take any questions that you may have.
Any questions, Commissioner? Commissioners, any questions? What are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next item F, consider request for resolution awarding the contract for Street Improvement District SI 597. Go ahead, Gabe.
Mayor Commissioners, Street Improvement District 597 is our concrete pavement repair project that we'll be doing on Main Avenue between the Washington Street Bridge and about 7th Street. We opened bids on this project also on April 8th, and we had 2 bidders. We recommend award to the low bidder of Strata Corporation with a bid of $658,978.77. We'll take any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions? Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Moving to item G, consider request from Commissioner Risch to purchase 2 electric patrol cars for the Bismarck Police Department. Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, this is pretty exciting. We've been discussing this for more than a year with the department. The idea of trying a couple of electric patrol cars, far more efficient than the departments that use them around the country.
I'm not able to hear Commissioner Risch.
You need to pull your mic or turn.
Oh,
your-
excuse me. Okay.
Thank you,
Sorry
Commissioner.
I'm sorry about that, Commissioner Zinker. Yeah, this is kind of exciting. We've been discussing this at the police department for the last year or so. And the idea is to try a couple of electric patrol cars. First of all, I thought, well, try one, but the chief was right in saying, well, sometimes we buy 2 vehicles that are just alike and one's kind of a bummer and the other one isn't. So the idea is to try 2 of these electric patrol cars. Some departments around the country, I've seen reports where one is saving $6,700 annually in operating costs and maintenance. Very low maintenance, plus you're not buying all the fuel you have to buy. And with fuel prices going up as they are, and electricity in North Dakota being some of the lowest in the country, we have the potential to save beyond that $6,700 annually. And certainly there's hardly anything to do as far, no oil changes, things like that, far fewer parts. Plus it stays in town, and these vehicles that we're looking at are the Chevy Blazer, and the Chevy Blazer is rated at 250 miles per charge, so that's quite a bit, and they could certainly do the 12-hour shift without any problem. In addition, the electronics in the car really uses very little of the energy from the battery, so that we were concerned about that to begin with, but that's an inconsequential thing. They're more powerful. They make very little noise. I was watching a drone video that the chief sent me yesterday, or today rather, about this drones going after the bad guy and the patrol cars come running up. Well, an electric patrol car doesn't make any noise if you shut the noise off, and they can sneak up on the bad guys better. Plus these things, they've got a real low center of gravity, so they're really stable. It's very hard to roll over an electric patrol car. There's just a bunch of stuff, and they've got 5-star energy rating or safety ratings. The batteries are warranted at 100,000 miles a year, or 100,000 miles. And that's about how much we use in a police car anyway, about 100,000 miles we turn them over. But anyway, they've got 498 horsepower, so I'm pretty excited about the potential of trying a couple of electric cars and see where it goes. The only concern I have, the only concern at all, is that the patrolman might start fighting over he gets the electric patrol car at the beginning of the shift. Maybe not. But anyway, with that, I would move that we, it's not, oh, the other thing, the costs of them, they're about the same cost as a internal combustion engine. They're not any more expensive. So the initial cost, we'll have to put in a charging station at the old station, but that's part of the deal. That'll last a long time. So anyway, I'll move that we approve this. Oh, one last thing. The reason it didn't actually go through the regular budget process is because they buy these cars quite a bit in advance, and it didn't get in with the original package plan. So we're not adding more patrol cars overall, but we're just going to, the next 2 we're going to try and get electric, or 2 we're going to get electric.
Second.
Okay, so we're open for discussion. My first question is which budget year are we talking? Because we've probably already bought the cars for this current budget year.
That's a question for Eric, how he's going to figure this out.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So like you'd mentioned, we're in the 26 budget year. Obviously, we have already procured and purchased all of our vehicles that were in the 26 budget plan. The ordering window for these EVs, I believe, is April 24th. That's why we're here tonight to talk about this. Our plan would be to alter the 27 budget process to account for these 2 cars in our equipment replacement plan for the 27 budget. If you remember, for the 26 budget year, at the end of 25, once the budget was approved, we ordered our vehicles ahead of time for cost savings on the 26 budget plan. So we will have some cost savings in 26, but the expenses will take place in 26 with some adjustment in the 27 budget plan to account for these, essentially reducing the number of patrol cars that we'll be asking for in the 27 budget.
So would this, then as I listen to you, this would require a budget amendment?
It is possible when we get to the end of the 26 budget year, depending on how the cost savings with the rest of the purchases of equipment through the course of the year, it may necessitate a budget amendment. Probably March timeframe in 27, recognizing what took place in 26. I can't guarantee it will happen, but it is a possibility.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Commissioner Cleary.
Since Eric's up here, the cost of putting in the charging station and that sort of thing, or if maintenance has to be done separately from the regular fleet maintenance, is that all going to be 2027 budget as well? Because that added expense of the charging station.
So the charging station, my guess would be, I think the cost estimates were 20 to 30,000 to get the charging station necessary that we need. That would likely take place in 2026 as well. If I remember correctly in talking with Lieutenant Traum, if we meet the ordering window, we anticipate these vehicles being on the ground here in Bismarck late October, November timeframe. So it would be very end of the year before we would take possession of these things.
Okay.
Commissioner Conley.
So with the timing of it being a little off from new station versus the one we currently have, does that mean charging station at the current one and then consideration for a charging station at the new one? Or
That would be my understanding, Commissioner Conley, that we would need the charging station at the current police department headquarters. And that would be permanently affixed to that property. And then going this route, it would be designed into the new facility through that architectural and engineering process.
Okay, so that's the cost times 2.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion?
But to be fair, this building's not going away, and we're seeing more electric vehicles, so that charging station could be used probably for some other city vehicles in the future. Or maybe even a patrol car if they want to set one down there after the new station's built.
Is there any other discussion?
So, Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. So I do have a couple concerns with this. One, obviously, the size of the budget, and I guess it's going to replace some cars. I'm not quite sure if we've already ordered the cars. It's going to be an addition. It more sounds like to me. But what about the outfit of the cars to meet the patrolman's needs in the squad car scenario that we have? I would assume that there would be some difference between the gas-powered vehicles and the electric vehicles. So if we do this for 2, what's the cost? And if we don't like it, we can't reuse some of that stuff. And sometimes you can't reuse that anyways when there's body changes, right? Every model has an upgrade. The other thing is I wonder about the dependability of the electric vehicle in the wintertime. I do have friends who have some electric vehicles, and they do say that depending on the weather, that if they're just running around the city, it's fine. They can charge it, not a big deal. But if they make long extended runs, it's an issue. And these cars run, the shifts are 8, 10, 12 hours. They're going to be running continually. Is there going to be enough time to make sure that one vehicle runs for one shift in those weather conditions, and we're not running back to the station to swap those out? I guess I don't fully electric makes me a little bit nervous versus a hybrid scenario. So if anybody's got any answers to that, that'd be great.
Go ahead, Commissioner Risch.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Zinker. Yeah, as far as the equipment end of it, these are patrol cars. They're built as patrol cars. They're wired specifically, and we can take the existing equipment, and they'll be installed in these cars just like they were an internal combustion engine. The estimate was, for some reason, it's $700 more to equip them, which is pretty consequential when you're dealing with this. Range is, you're correct, that in the wintertime, they do get a reduced range, but at 250 miles, that's quite a bit. I'm not that concerned about it. I wish the Chevrolet Silverado was in a police edition, because that's 450-mile range. That would be a lot more substantial. They'd be a little more expensive, but this is where it's at right now with the Blazers, 250 miles, which incidentally is at least as good as the extended range Ford Lightning that's now been discontinued. So I'm pretty confident that 250 miles will be adequate. In the 30, 40 below weather, yeah, it will have a bit of an impact, but if we can keep these things inside warm when they take off, then they last a lot longer than leaving them outside.
I have a question, and this comes back to budget for me, and I think that's probably my biggest concern here, is the order window. I mean, is there only one order window a year?
That's the confusing part for me, because we were talking about this last year, and all of a sudden, oh no, we missed the window, and now all of a sudden we're about to miss the window again. I don't understand that
Because
aspect.
I probably would have less concern if we were going to be looking at it for the 27 budget, and we knew the window would allow us a delivery date after December 31st. That makes more sense to me.
But keep in mind, we're not adding additional vehicles. It would just be out of the 27 budget.
But it's still a budget number from one fiscal period to another fiscal period, and tax revenues cross over the calendar year.
Sure.
So that's my struggle. Like, I'm not opposed to trying. I just don't want to add to the budget for 2026 when we already are living in a budget that is appropriately tight because of what we do for property taxes with the legislative action.
What appeals to me about this is the potential savings. Potential savings in maintenance, potential savings in reduced.
Again, my concern is the budget cycle
Sure.
for the equipment
And
purchases.
we're saving some money.
But we're not going to save the cost of the vehicle in the calendar year.
No.
So that's my struggle. I'm not opposed to the concept of trying, because I think it may be a valuable tool, but, so that's where I'm at. We have any other discussion? Commissioner?
Eric or Chief or someone else who was in the conversations of this, do we know, is that the only, is there just one annually? Is there a way that we have this discussion, but it just becomes part of 2027? There's one ordering window a year? Is that what we're being
I don't
told?
know specifically about the ordering window being available more than once with an EV. The ordering window with the state contract for our traditional gas-powered engines, that does close, I want to say, middle to end of October annually for that process. I don't recall in conversations with Lieutenant Traum that we've explored the ordering window previously with the EVs. I don't recall an ordering window coming up when we were initially talking about this months ago with placing it with Ford for the Lightning F-150 pickup. This ordering window may be specific to the Chevy brand with state contract, but I don't know specifically if they have a different ordering timeframe for those vehicles. It's something we can certainly ask about if the direction tonight is to include it in the 27 budget process. We will definitely have to do more homework to try to fit these into the process.
Sure.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Eric? Okay, I'm going to call the vote.
Commissioner Connolly?
No.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
No.
Mayor Schmitz?
No, I would like to consider it for the 2027 budget, though. All right. We're to other business. Does anyone else have other business? Commissioner Cleary?
I just want to remind everyone that it is spring cleanup week next week. So you'll have your normal garbage day with your bin, but you can also put there's certain items that are not allowed to be on the curb, but for the most part, your items can go out on the curb. They get picked up by a separate team. So if your garbage can gets picked up and you're like, why is the rest of the stuff still sitting on my curb? They're coming the same day as your garbage pickup, but it is a separate crew that goes out to do that. And so that'll be happening Monday through Thursday next week. But during that week is also free drop off at the landfill, and that runs Monday through Saturday out at the landfill. So just wanted to remind people that that is happening.
Commissioner Conley.
To reiterate with the community conversation, it's a new location being at the Dream Center. We've had several at the library. We'll see if there's an advantage with that. It's certainly a nice room up there. And I would encourage people that have those concerns, or even if you're just learning, to come on April 21st at 5:30.
Thank you. I was going to ask you for the time because that's next Tuesday. Yep. Commissioner
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I just want to follow up with Commissioner Cleary. This is a big thing for our city to pick up all this stuff. It is a relatively new phenomenon. This didn't happen years ago. But I just want to encourage people that when they put their stuff on the boulevard, to put like the wooden stuff in one pile, the metal stuff on the other pile, because we've got these different trailers that come through. And the people that are out there shopping, which is technically against the law to go shopping and picking up other people's stuff without the owner's permission, but I know people that do it. But the people that are out there shopping, don't make a mess of the piles. I mean, leave them in better shape than when you took them. And actually, the people that are out there shopping and removing truckloads and truckloads of this stuff for good repurposing actually saves our landfill quite a bit. So I want to give a shout out to a Star City employee. I don't know if you read today my Trustee Tribune. I read my Trustee Tribune, and Tammy Rosler, 911 dispatcher, helped deliver a baby last October over the phone. And it's amazing. If you go to the 911 center, they've got, this incident comes up, and they've got all the actions to take to help deliver a baby or whatever the case may be. And she successfully worked this husband through delivering a baby right out at the rest area east of Bismarck. So I want to give a shout out to Tammy, because she did a remarkable job, and this is a really positive thing to have happen. And thank Michael and his team over there at 911 for the good work that they do.
Thank you. Is there any other business? Seeing none, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.